Call to order the October 22nd, 2019 Hammond Plan Commission meeting to order. First item will be Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item on the agenda will be roll call.
Roger Brock.
Here.
Dean Button.
Here.
Michael Dye.
Present.
Ann Herbert. Here. William Hutton.
Here.
Thomas Kazimierzak.
Here.
Sharon Zaney.
Here.
Pete Flores.
Here.
Thomas White.
Here.
9 present. We have a quorum.
And I'd also like to introduce, should have did it prior to the actual roll call, our new member, Tom Kazimierzak, sitting next to the other Tom, so we're going to try and confuse you as best as possible.
Welcome aboard. Thank you.
Next item will be approval of minutes for the September 16th, 2019 meeting.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please. Or
All in favor.
those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes pass. Old business, do we have any?
There is no old business.
Thank you. We do have some new business. CP-19-08, petition of Emmett Shaw for approval of Cabela's Gateway 3rd Edition to the city of Hammond into 2 lots located at 7930-50 Cabela Drive within the city of Hammond, Lake County, Indiana. Have the notification requirements been met?
Yes, they have.
Thank you. And petitioner's up there, if you'll sign in like you're doing, and then if you'll please state your name and address, please.
Absolutely. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is James Yanakopoulos. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Karansky, Bauer, and Peracki. Our address is 425 Joliet Street, Suite 425 in Dyer, Indiana, and I'm here on behalf of the petitioner, Amit Shaw. The first petition of the 2 petitions to be addressed tonight is the subdivision of what is currently Cabela's Lot 3. If you're familiar with the area, it's directly south of the current Cabela's store and the Walmart store. There is a vacant lot that abuts the Little Calumet River in the southernmost portion of the city in that area. What we're proposing to do is Mr. Shaw, who is involved with 10 hotel projects, 3 currently under construction, 5 hotels currently open, and 2 in the development stage, would like to open up a new hotel in that area and purchase the property from Cabela's so that a 4-story hotel with 90 rooms anticipated, approximately 90 rooms anticipated, would be constructed on the lot that we are requesting to be subdivided. We anticipate flying the Staybridge Estates flag. It appears that everything is in order with regards to the subdivision code. There is one additional requirement, though, that was made within the petition, and that is a waiver of the City Code Section 157.091B. If you're familiar with that section requires that all subdivided lots abut a public street. However, we are requesting a waiver for that requirement, given the unique set of circumstances within the Cabela's subdivision. In fact, we will be dedicating some of the portion of property that Mr. Shaw is planning on purchasing to a dedicated driveway that would be within that development. So while it's not technically a public street, the property as subdivided would include a road access that would be in line with what's already been approved by the City of Hammond for all other lots within that development. So if there are any additional questions, I'd be happy to address those. I have also brought my client, Mr. Shaw, and our engineer, Cole Helfrich. I believe I've touched on the main points. And if you would have any questions or comments, I'd be happy to address them at this time. The one thing I would also just note before ceding the floor is that in order to grant the waiver, there are some considerations to address that waiver. Number one would be granting the waiver will not be detrimental to the public health, safety, or welfare, or injurious to other property. And it's our opinion that it would not be injurious to anybody. In fact, this is already occurring within other lots within that subdivision. The second condition would be that the conditions upon which the request for a waiver is based are unique to the property for which the waiver is being sought and are not applicable generally to other property. And because this property is located in what would be formerly Lot 3, Lot 3 does currently meet the standards, but as we've indicated, it is being subdivided so that future development can occur. And it is a narrow parcel at the southernmost end of the property, and we would be adding additional road improvements to address any concerns. And therefore, given the unique set of circumstances of it being in the Cabela's development and other issues with regards to the property, we believe that we meet that. The third is because of the particular physical surroundings, shape, or topographical conditions of the specific property involve a particular hardship to the owner that would result as distinguished from a mere inconvenience if strict letter of these regulations are carried out. Financial hardship does not constitute grounds for a waiver, but the shape of the property is long and narrow in depth between Cabela Drive and Little Calumet Levee, and Lot 1 is located in the westernmost corner of the property and would not be developable due to its unique configuration. And the final consideration for you in granting this waiver would be that the waiver shall not in any manner vary the provisions of the zoning ordinance or flood control ordinance and all other provisions of the zoning ordinance except for development variances specific to the hotel development on Lot 1, not related to the lack of abutting street. And the property has been removed from the floodplain, and therefore there is no effect on the flood management ordinance. So we believe that we've met all four requirements, legally speaking, for the grantal of the waiver. But I'd be happy to address any other questions or comments that the members of the board may have at this time.
Thank you. And do any of the board members have questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Button?
there appears to be just a couple of technical corrections that need to be made on the plat.
Yes, there are, but a couple of things I wanted to make sure the Plan Commission is aware of. Just the location of this access easement, 99.9% of it was established under the previous subdivision. So this, in essence, is just recreating that or redoing that. At the southeast corner of Lot 2, there is an additional area that is being added to the access easement to accommodate the radius of the curbing that has been looked at from a site plan that's preliminarily been presented to us on that particular lot. The other difference is that the access easement has also been, it's being, a utility easement is also overlaying the exact boundaries of the access easement, and that is also due to some of the developmental issues that we have been informed of regarding Lot 1 and anticipating some of the development issues for Lot 2. And other little easements have been added in various corners to accommodate the water lines, the fire hydrants, and things along those lines. As far as the technical corrections, yeah, there are a couple little things that still need to be addressed, but those are not substantive, and we can probably go forward with this on that basis.
Well, I guess I'm sorry to be nitpicky, but it does, the plat shows some features on here that aren't normally shown on a plat. There's a water line shown. And couple of fuel storage tanks that aren't normally
Yes,
shown on a plat of this type.
staff is aware of that, and we know that from the time of the printing of this and the receipt of it, we have identified various things like that
Okay.
with the surveyor, and again, those are some of the technical
Thank
things
you.
that need to
Just
be
wanted make
resolved.
sure that those were going to get removed. Thank you.
Sharp eye, Mr. Button.
Thank you.
It's my bad. My name's Cole Helfrich. I'm with Kanaki Associates, a design firm that's working with Mr. Shaw. If I might add one thing regarding the access, technically, there is only one dedicated right-of-way within this entire development, and that is Cabela Drive that comes in off of Indianapolis, makes a right turn and goes back and dead ends at the Cabela store. All the other roadways that are there now and shall be there in the future are all part of access easements. So there's plenty of access. That's just my take on it.
Yes, the technical aspect of it is known and noted.
Okay, that's fine.
Thank you. Any other questions from any of the board members? Mr. Hutton?
I do have a question about staff recommendation. Should we wait until we get to that section?
Yes, we should.
Thank you very much.
And any other questions, concerns, comments from board members? Hearing none, I'll open this up for a public hearing. Anyone in the public wanting to come forward with any comments, please do so at this time. Again, I'll repeat, we're going to open up the public hearing period. Any member of the public wanting to come forward, please do so at this time. And seeing no public and no one coming forward, we will close the public hearing portion. I guess we'll move on to the staff report. Brian?
Well, yeah, and just to point out one other technical thing, the property is currently in the ownership of Cabela's Wholesale LLC. Mr. Shaw is a contingent purchaser, but authorization from Cabela's has been provided to allow Mr. Shaw to act on their behalf. But Cabela's will be the official signatories to the subdivision plat, as they are the owners.
Thank you.
As far as the staff report's concerned, this is basically a two-lot re-subdivision of a lot that was previously created. I already indicated that the access easement is in existence and being modified slightly. The utility easements, as I previously addressed, are noted on the plat. There are, again, technical things that need to be addressed, and staff is definitely well aware of those. In regards to the waiver, we do have a precedent on a previous subdivision where the lot immediately west of the lot 1 that's on this plat also requested and received a waiver to the provision of having a lot but abut a public street, and the basis of that waiver was the creation of this access easement throughout the development. So the basic premise of their supporting information about the waiver is similar, same thing. It is the access drive, or which will be treated as a private drive, is a critical component of receiving that waiver. The staff report does lay out its recommendations as to how the subdivision plat meets the requirements that are in the subdivision ordinance for the receiving a waiver request. And staff recommends that the Planning Commission grant the waiver to section 157.021B due to the inclusion of this portion of the continuous access easement from Indianapolis Boulevard on Lot 1, Block 1, as approved to its connection to the access drive and Walmart parcel, which is Lot 1, resub of Block 3, as shown on the plat, and adopt the findings of 157.091 as described above in the staff report. And then staff recommends that the Plan Commission determine that the granting of the waiver and the resolution by staff of the technical corrections will allow for it to be determined that the technical requirements of the subdivision ordinance are met, and that the Plan Commission may grant preliminary and final approval of the platted subdivision subject to the waiver of the requirement for a lot to subject to the waiver to the requirement for a lot to abut a public street, and the resolution of the technical corrections by staff. And then if the Plan Commission agrees, staff requests that the Plan Commission adopt this staff report as its findings of fact.
Any questions from board members regarding the staff report? He answered my question. Oh, very good, because I know you had one you were holding back on. So. I was. Very good, very good. Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Button.
I would move that the Plan Commission grant a waiver to section 157.021B due to the inclusion of this portion of the continuous access easement from Indianapolis Boulevard on Lot 1, Block 1, as approved to its connection to the access drive on the Walmart parcel, Lot 1, subdivision of Block 3, as shown on the plat, and adopt the findings of 157.091 as described in the staff report.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Roger Brock,
Yes.
Dean Button.
Yes.
Michael Dye,
Yes.
Ann Herbert. Yes. William Hutton,
Yes.
Thomas Kazmierzak,
Yes.
Pete Torres,
Yes.
Sharon Zaney. Yes. Thomas White,
Yes.
9 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, motion passed.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Button.
I would move that the Plan Commission determine that the granting of the waiver and the resolution by staff of the technical corrections will allow for it to be determined that the technical requirements of the subdivision ordinance are met, and that the Plan Commission may grant preliminary and final approval of the plat of subdivision, subject to the waiver of the requirement for a lot to abut a public street and the resolution of the technical corrections by staff. I so move.
And do we have a second?
Second.
And roll call, please.
Roger Brock,
Yes.
Dean Button.
Yes.
Michael Dye,
Yes.
Ann Herbert. Yes. William Hutton,
Yes.
Thomas Kazmierzak,
Yes.
Pete Torres,
Yes.
Sharon Zaney. Yes. Thomas White,
Yes.
9 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, motion passed.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Button.
I would move that the Plan Commission agree with the staff request and that we adopt the staff report as a finding of fact.
Do we have a second?
Second.
And roll call, please.
Roger Brock,
Yes.
Dean Button.
Yes.
Michael Dye,
Yes.
Ann Herbert. Yes. William Hutton,
Yes.
Thomas Kazmierzak,
Yes.
Pete Torres,
Yes.
Sharon Zaney. Yes. Thomas White,
Yes.
9 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, motion passed.
Very good. Move on to the next item on the agenda. And that is CP-19-09, petition of Amit Shah for approval of a developmental plan in a C4 General Commercial District located at 7934 Cabela Drive, located within the city of Hammond, Lake County, Indiana.
Good evening again. Once again,
Hang- wait,
Have the notifications
Thank you.
been met?
Yes, they have.
Thank you.
Okay.
Now we were ready.
thank you. I apologize for interrupting. James Yanakopoulos, again, 425 Joliet Street, Suite 425, Dyer, Indiana, of the firm Kransky, Bauer, and Peracki, on behalf of the petitioner, Amit Shah, with regards to the development plan. I will spare you the details. The same details that were given from the previous presentation would also apply. So we're dealing with a 4-story hotel with approximately 90 rooms flying the Statebridge Suites Hotel. The improvements would be a combination of masonry, steel, stucco. The improvements would be your typical new hotel construction. and would be in conformance with the commercial development in that Cabela's area with the Walmart, the anticipated hospital, another anticipated hotel, and the Cabela's. The development plan requires about 15 items under Section 27.04, Review of Development Plan B. I won't go through all 15 items, but I just would highlight the first three and the last one. The existing site features including topography and natural areas. It's just a flat, undeveloped parcel. And the existing land use and zoning of the property and surrounding properties. This is zoned commercial. Our use would be a commercial use. The access to public streets, we've already addressed that with the private easements and road improvements that we were discussing on the waiver. And then I'll just skip to the last one, compatibility of the proposed development with existing developments in the surrounding area. We're talking about a hotel, new construction, which would be in line with the other commercial development in that area. So I don't want to bore you with any details. If the board has any other questions for myself, my client, Mr. Amit Shah, or our engineer, Cole Helfrich, we're all here, and we'd be happy to address any issues or concerns at this point.
And do we have any questions from the board members? No questions? Brian?
Yeah, I just want to, for clarity purposes, I saw in some documents that we had looked at that there were 89 rooms, and I saw some that said 90. So is there a change, or what happened? You need to come to the microphone. Yeah,
Please come forward and state your name and address. Sign in too, please.
Yep. My name is Amit Shah. I'm address 10057 New Devon Street in Munster. Regarding the 89 rooms or 90 rooms, we had a meeting room which we are gonna expand it a little bit, so that reduced our room count by 1 to 89.
Okay, so it is 89 rooms.
Right, yeah, right now, we haven't gotten final approval from the franchise, but we're planning on doing 89 instead of 90.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thanks. Any other comments, questions, concerns? Hearing none, we'll open it up to the public hearing period. Anyone in the public that would like to come forward, please do so at this time. Again, I'd like to open this up to the public for a public hearing period. And seeing no public rushing forward, we'll close the public hearing period. And I guess we'll move on to the staff report.
The first part of the staff report, of course, lays out the technical aspects of the presentation. Again, the exterior materials, the number of parking spaces, landscape requirements, and setback and photometrics. All of those are basically in compliance. Again, similar to our attorney, or the petitioner's attorney, in the section of 27.04, the 15 items, I'm just going to address a few of them. One of the more important things is that the hotel does not conflict with the 15-foot setback that is required by the Little Cal Commission from the toe of the slope of the levee. It's their free zone to make sure that there is no disturbance that would negatively affect the levee. The number 13 is talking about signage. We have just some preliminary information, and we do not know exactly what the final signage is, and we hope that everything will be compliant. One of the issues of this lot is that since it doesn't abut a public street, it is a little bit challenging determining what is the front yard. The signage calculations are based on that front yard determination, and that the building faces to the north, faces to the Walmart, and based on that orientation, we would conclude that the north property line of the lot would be the front yard for the purposes of setbacks as well as determining signage. So staff recommendation, overall, the development plan is being designed to be compatible in design and architectural character, which results in the overall in a harmonious, efficient, convenient retail area. The redevelopment commission had already previously determined that the project is in compliance with the economic development area plan. When it comes to development plan approval, the plan commission is supposed to make written findings of fact, which accordance to section 27.05. The four provisions that are listed there is that it does comply with the standards. Once the plat is recorded, then it's going to apply to the subdivision control ordinance, which is also tied into that the waiver. Development is compatible with in architecture and character, and the project is on appropriately zoned property as contemplated in the comprehensive plan. One of the provisions that just to point out for clarity, is that the height of the building is 54 feet 5 inches, and that is above the maximum limit for height in this zoning district. So staff recommends that the Plan Commission grant final approval of the development plan subject to the 3 items. 1, finalization of the technical requirements, including but not limited to signage, and some of those technical requirements are just some notations and on sewer and water issues and things like that. 2, approval of the developmental variance by the BZA, and that is regard to the height of the building. And 3, recording of the subdivision plat. If the Plan Commission agrees, then this report should be adopted as preliminary findings of fact.
Any questions?
Mr. Chairman. Not a question, more just a comment to the petitioner. You worked really hard with us to try to make the site workable with regard to moving traffic through and parking plans and how we're getting in and out. So I just, from an engineering perspective, I just wanted to thank you for working with us so closely to try to make this site an effective development for the city. Thank you.
Thank both of you. Anyone else with a comment or questions, concerns from the board?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Button.
I would move that the Plan Commission grant final approval of the development plan subject to the finalization of the technical requirements, including but not limited to signage and the other items referred to by Mr. Poland. Approval of the development variance by the BZA and recording of the subdivision plat.
Do we have a second?
Second.
A couple of them. Roll call, please.
Roger Brock,
Yes.
Dean Button.
Yes.
Michael Dye.
Yes.
Ann Herbert. Yes. William Hutton.
Yes.
Thomas Kazmierzak.
Yes.
Pete Torres.
Yes.
Sharon Zaney.
Yes.
Thomas White.
Yes.
9 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions. Motion passed.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Button.
I would also move that the Plan Commission adopt this staff report as a finding of fact.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Roger Brock.
Yes.
Dean Button.
Yes.
Michael Dye.
Yes.
Ann Herbert.
Yes.
William Hutton.
Yes.
Thomas Kazmierzak.
Yes.
Pete Torres.
Yes.
Sharon Zaney.
Yes.
Thomas White.
Yes.
9 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions. Motion passed.
Very good. Good luck. Next item on the agenda. Next item on the agenda is CP-19-12, petition of La Hacienda Azteca LLC to reclassify property at 1141-150th Street from 1U Urban Single Family Residential District and 1147 150th Street from C-1 Local Commercial District to C-4 General Commercial District to construct, operate, and maintain a restaurant and parking lot within the city of Hammond, Lake County, Indiana.
Hello.
Notifications met?
Yes, they have.
Thank
Got a
you.
couple more green cards, if you want them. Let me bring them.
I'll get them later.
And if you could please state your name and address and then sign in with the same, please.
Signed in, Chris Moore, Nice Engineering, 2421 173rd Street in Hammond. And I'm here representing client Gustava, here to present a request for rezoning of the property located at 1141 150th Street, as well as the property located at 1147 150th Street. This is currently the existing La Hacienda restaurant, and the restaurant is actually located at 1147 150th Street, and it's currently zoned C1, which will allow I believe it's a pickup restaurant.
Takeout, and then as a conditional use, a smaller restaurant of 9 seats or less.
So
Restaurant cafe.
this is not conforming with the proper zoning in this area. And as you know, we were here before, or we had come to the city before to request authorization to use the north property of the existing facility as an expanded park, or as an additional parking lot. As you guys have seen out there, the restaurant's very busy. It's expanding. They've done a lot of work to the restaurant inside and out. Really a key staple to the city of Hammond. And with the business is growing, we need to expand the parking lot as well. So we've already gone through proper authorization to expand the parking lot to the north of the property. And we would also, this is to rezone the property to the west to allow us to put a parking lot on that one as well. And in doing so, we would like to request rezoning from that one, which is R1U district. We'd like to request rezoning for that one from that to a C4 general commercial district, as well as the existing lot that the restaurant sits on right now, which is currently a C1. We'd like to request rezoning for that one as well to a C4. That's all I got.
That's it?
That's it.
All righty. Do we have questions from any of the commissioners, concerns, comments?
Mr. Chairman, just this restaurant, of course, is located in the 2nd District, and 2nd District Councilman, I fully support it. They've been working hard to get everything going through the process since spring. Been working on this, now that the north lot is secure, and he wants to expand to the west. Anyway, the next best thing for, other than a new business coming into Hammond, is for somebody renovating and expanding. So I truly support this, and I wish Mr. Vega, well, thank him for having a successful business in Hammond, and he's constantly making it more successful. It's a good, quality Mexican restaurant. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Torres. Any other comments, concerns, questions? Brian?
Do you have any information on when the expansion into the lot on the west is going to occur?
Mr. Besa, I know for right now that there is currently a residential home on the property that's going to have to come down first. And then the parking lot is going to come second, and then the possibility of expansion will come next, but I'll let
If you'll please state your name and address. And you'll need to sign in, too.
My name is Gustavo Vega, 4838 Columbia Avenue in Hammond, Indiana. And I'd like to do this as soon as possible, maybe in 6 months.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Okay, thank you.
sign it.
He said no.
Yeah. no, you-
And if I see and hear of no questions or concerns from the board members, we will open up the public hearing period. And I really see no public.
Good.
But we have to go through this. I'll open it up one more time.
Yeah, and Mr. President, we did receive a phone call. Ms. Morris-Smith, can you summarize the phone call?
The caller basically.
Can you go into the microphone?
The caller basically had an opposition to expansion of a parking lot that would be right next to his home. He felt that it would create additional traffic, and he was against it.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay. Anyway, seeing no public, no one coming forward for the public hearing portion, I'll close the public hearing period. We'll move on to the staff report. Brian?
It'll be Ms. Gerter.
Based on the staff report, as stated in the prior presentation, this is a proposal to rezone 2 properties. 1141 150th Street is currently zoned R1U, and 1147 150th is zoned C1. And petitioners proposing to rezone both parcels to C4 to allow for the construction of a parking lot and a 1,200 square foot expansion of the restaurant that currently sits at 1147 150th. Based on this information, according to the comprehensive plan, based on the 1992 comprehensive land use plan, both parcels were zoned as low-density residential. While this is consistent with the parcel at 1141 150th, the parcel at 1147 150th Street has historically been used as a restaurant, and so this rezone will will make sure that the use matches its proper zoning classification. Regarding number 2, the current conditions, 1141 150th is a single-family home that is in good condition, and the property at 1147 150th is, of course, the Mexican restaurant, which is in excellent condition. Number 3, most desirable use of the property. Said parcels are surrounded by a mix of industrial, commercial, and residential uses, and the restaurant currently serves as a transition area between residential and industrial uses. And so fencing and landscaping buffers are important in terms of making sure that they protect the proposed zoning area, since the commercial use will be intensified if the rezone is approved. Also, for number 4, conservation of property values throughout the area. Maintaining the landscaping on the west side of the said parcel will serve as a natural buffer between the residential homes on 150th Street and the restaurant. For number 5, responsible for development and growth, it is important that the preliminary site plans only show customer traffic entering the property on 150th Street, and patrons will be able to exit through an alley that connects to Columbia Avenue. Currently, the restaurant is legal non-conforming use, so rezoning both parcels will allow for the expansion of the restaurant and make it more consistent with its historical uses. Based on that, for staff recommendation, staff recommends that the Plan Commission forward the petition to the City Council with a favorable recommendation, subject to coordination with the city engineer and the Hammond Sanitary District regarding the drainage and grading plans for the proposed parking lot. And if the Plan Commission agrees with the recommendation, the staff requests that this report be adopted by the Plan Commission as the preliminary findings of fact.
Thank you. Questions regarding the staff report and recommendations? Mr. Torres.
Mr. President, there's a typo on the beginning of the page of background. Mr. Gustavo Vesa, it should be Vega, V-E-J-A, correct? Okay, that's the only thing.
Okay, any other questions, concerns?
Mr. Chairman, I just guess I needed to clarify about the coordination with the city engineer and the sanitary district. So, we'd like to see the plan, the drainage plan, and the tie-in plan, following this approval. And, I guess I would defer to staff on that approval would be needed prior to going to the city council. Is that true?
No, it's not. It's just more of identifying that there are those technical things that need to be addressed at the appropriate time. So it would be after the rezoning, and then they're ready to go for the technical review of the site of the parking lot layout.
So simply, permits would not be issued until these conditions are met, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm happy with that.
Okay, very good, thank you. Anyone else with question or concern?
Question.
Mike?
With the landscape buffer, what type of landscape are you guys planning on putting in?
We're planning, everything's gonna be grass.
I'm sorry, what's that?
We're gonna have grass out there, and then we're gonna have a couple of different type of trees that we have planned on going out there. With whatever we have out there, it's gonna be a privacy type of tree.
You show red sunset maple on the plan.
What the zoning requirements of a parking lot abutting a residential district requires a minimum 5-foot dense solid plantings or a fence. So those are things that we would address at those technical review times.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, concerns from the board members?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Button?
I would move that the Plan Commission forward the petition to the City Council with a favorable recommendation subject to coordination with the city engineer and the Hammond Sanitary District regarding the drainage and grading plans for the proposed parking lot.
Thank you.
Second?
And we have a second. Roll call, please.
Roger Brock?
Yes.
Dean Button?
Yes.
Michael Dye?
Yes.
Ann Herbert? Yes. William Hutton?
Yes.
Thomas Kazmierczak?
Yes.
Pete Torres?
Yes.
Sharon Zany?
Yes.
Thomas White?
Yes.
9 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, motion passed.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Button?
I would move that the Plan Commission agree with the recommendation and the staff requests, and that this report be adopted by the commission as a preliminary finding of fact.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Second. And we have a second and roll call, please.
Roger Brock?
Yes.
Dean Button?
Yes.
Michael Dye?
Yes.
Ann Herbert?
Yes.
William Hutton?
Yes.
Thomas Kazmierczak?
Yes.
Pete Torres?
Yes.
Sharon Zany?
Yes.
Thomas White?
Yes.
9 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, motion passed.
Very good.
Thank you.
Good luck. Thank you.
Encourage, just leave them up here.
Yes, I'll get them, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Brian, any correspondence?
No correspondence.
Commissioners' comments? I guess I'm the only one that will have a commissioner's comment. This very well could be my last meeting, is moving out of town a little bit south. So will no longer be eligible to be sitting on the board. So I've enjoyed it, and I thank you all for your dedication, service, and so forth. So see you down the road.
Mr. Chairman, I would just thank you for your time and effort and all you've done to keep us on track and moving forward throughout the process. I know my time's been pretty limited here, but appreciate your guidance and leadership in the commission.
Thank you very much.
Second.
Duly noted.
Any thirds or fourths on that?
I'm not going to get a vote, though.
I do have
May not happen.
I do have something. Does that mean I have to chair the last meeting?
Yes, that would be the expectation for a vice president.
Tag, you're it.
Thank you.
And staff comments?
And then on behalf of the staff, also to echo the comments of the Plan Commission members that Mr. White has been a valued member of the Plan Commission and the Board of Zoning Appeals for a number of years, and you will be greatly missed.
Thank you very much.
I do want to point out that for the November Plan Commission meeting, I'm not yet 100% sure if we are going to have a November meeting. We do know that the council has changed its schedule in November. They are going to be holding their council meeting on the 18th of November, which is our normal date. So if you would just keep the 19th open, and we will let you know as soon as possible whether or not we are going to have a November meeting. If we don't have a November meeting, I think we should also expect that we will have a December meeting. There's some other items that, based on their schedule, that we would expect them to appear at the December meeting. And again, we don't know if the council is going to change their meeting dates in December. Our meeting is normally going to be the 16th, so there is a possibility that we would have to be bumped to the 17th. So just keep that in mind on your schedules.
Thank you, Brian. And seeing no public, I don't believe there's any public comment, and motion for adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.